Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another brand new episode of the Collider Games podcast. My name's Dennis Zen, and as always, we're joined through the magic of Skype. Caboose, how you doing, Caboose?
Doing good. Back in Toronto after a long trip in LA for the Borderlands event, but I'm happy to talk some more games.
Cool. And for the first time, join us. We have Sam and DJ from Only Stupid Answers. How are you guys doing?
Oh, I'm very happy to be here. I'm excited to talk about some games.
Yeah.
It's going to be a good time.
Yes.
I'm curious about how things are in Toronto right now.
Is it good?
What's the weather like?
Cold?
Oh man, yesterday it was really crummy, but we're warming up. You know, we're catching up to you guys soon enough.
Weather's been super weird out here. It was like super hot a couple days ago, and now it's raining.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm ready for beach weather, so it's kind of all over the place right now.
He's wearing a Speedo right now. You can't see him because you're through Skype. But
Yeah, and the audio listeners, you're really missing out without the video component.
Yeah.
Just saying.
I can't wait till it goes up on YouTube.
Well, we cry in LA when it's like it rains once.
Oh,
yeah. I grew up in Florida, and so like people are like, "Oh, rain! This isn't rain. It's just more that it's how cold it is."
I took off my wiper blades. I didn't want them on there. Slow me down drag racing. Those are road rules.
That's why your windshield's so scratched up.
It's a lease. I'm really ruining the car.
Hey, for people who are listening that aren't familiar with your guys' YouTube channel, what exactly do you guys do on there?
We talk about movies, TV shows, comic books, video games. We review them. We do deep dives. We actually launched recently under the Only Stupid Answers brand in a partnership with Life Noggin, another YouTube channel, a channel called, a little sick, Might Be Awesome. And we do like deep dive explainers into like nerdy questions. Like we recently did an explainer about Pokemon and what it would be like to live with them. And it's like the insurance implications. I know that might not be the coolest sounding on paper. It was a blast to write, and we used 8-bit animations and sprites to animate out what it would be like to live in that world. Guess what? All your favorite Pokemon would be awful to live with. Just like on paper, so expensive.
Because with Detective Pikachu coming out, and in Rhyme City, they're supposed to live in harmony.
Yes,
right? No
with humans.
Yeah. So it's just the logistics of what that would actually look like. It gets complicated quickly. So that was a lot of fun. But you can find stuff like that at youtube.com/mightbeawesome.
All right, cool. And we'll be talking about Detective Pikachu in a little bit. The first big news that came out was the Ghost Recon Breakdown announced trailer. I guess the Caboose Breakpoint. Yeah. There was a leak before, right? Before the announcement. What was going on with that, Caboose?
Yeah, the Ubisoft store of all places accidentally leaked the game. Like they just leaked the title of the game and then the collector's edition. So you kind of got to look at what I think the collector's edition is the villains of the game. So it wasn't like a major leak or anything. There no gameplay was leaked. So their whole reveal and the way that they had structured it was still very much intact. But we found out about the game's existence and what it was going to be called the day before it was officially announced. And then we got the actual announcement, and it looks good. I mean, everything we're seeing looks promising. I didn't really play too much of Wildlands, which is the game that came before it, which is kind of where they really wanted to go all out with a Ghost Recon game. They had this open world, and it seems that they had really supported the game for a long time. I think they're still supporting the game to this day. And everything that, from what I can tell, I've talked to a bunch of people who have really enjoyed Wildlands. They're saying a lot of the good things about that game are kind of being expanded upon within Breakpoint, which I think is a great thing. So I'm excited, and John Bernthal's the villain, so that's awesome.
Honestly, I'm sold immediately when John Bernthal's involved. Like when you get a character actor like that, especially when it comes to like a military role, because like I mean, he is my Punisher when it comes to like a live action interpretations. I have to like keep asking myself, I'm like, is he a veteran? Like I don't.
He's so good at acting. You believe it.
You buy it, and so like as soon as you hear his voice, you're like, yeah, this fits the texture of this game. It makes sense, and from all the gameplay footage we saw so far, I'm sold. Honestly, yeah.
This comes out on October 4th. Have you guys played any of the Ghost Recon games before?
I haven't played any. Okay. Is that under the Tom Clancy?
Yeah, Tom Clancy has all of them. Rainbow Six.
Do you think he plays any of them?
Oh, well.
You'd hope.
It's just weird to think about, like, when you think about Tom Clancy, you think about, like, books my granddad read. You know what I mean? And he's got this, like, thriving video game brand off of his name. He's like the John Madden of war games.
Yeah, but I think he passed away, like, a year or two ago. And so, but his name is so big that it's like, like he's not as big as Stan Lee. But, Stan Lee, his name will still keep living on and be a brand. That's how Tom Clancy's is. And so they have Rainbow Six, Splinter Cell, Ghost Recon. Am I missing any of the franchises? I feel like there's
Rainbow
one more.
Six is based off a book, but I don't think any of the rest of them are. They're just tied into that.
You probably started making more money off of video games.
I'm excited to see the Splinter Cell Rainbow Six crossover.
Yeah. No, the Rainbow Six was like the first game I ever rage quit hard when I was a kid, and because you had to play by real rules, and you're like, that's not.
You get hit. You got shot once and you die. You're like, oh fuck.
The social agreement of playing video games is that you get more tries, and that's not fair. But I remember that's the hardest I ever worked for a game, and seeing a game like just seeing the evolution of the graphics, and also when it comes to like the co-op in this game, it looks awesome. Like I'm like genuinely intrigued, and I'm interested to know more. But also John Bernthal, what I got from it was that he was like an antagonistic role, right? So it's like also that's cool because I think the closest was
he's also a ghost.
Of course, he's a ghost too.
I'm a ghost.
You remember in Casper when they said that to each other? It was really cool.
Yeah.
Oh man. So it's full 4-player co-op. So I'm assuming that's online, not online only, not split screen. And I've noticed that the Tom Clancy games in general, because you mentioned Rainbow Six, I played the first one, and they start off very tactical and realistic, like almost like simulators.
Yeah.
Yes.
Even like Ghost Recon was like that a bit when it first started out, and now they've gone into more of the action third-person shooter. I mean, not that it wasn't a third-person shooter before, but now it's like, okay, that you can get hit a few times and you're fine, and somehow after 30 seconds, you're okay from that gunshot to the arm or whatever. So
you
just have to breathe deeply and wait a few seconds, and then the red will go off your screen and you'll be fine.
It all sounds really cool, and especially when I was watching the actual like stream where they were showing and revealing everything, they had mentioned, they got plenty of stuff planned for post-launch content. I think they said every 4 months there's going to be a major expansion to the game.
Wow.
And for the first time there's going to be raids in Ghost Recon, which that's right up my wheelhouse. I loved Destiny. I'm a big fan of that franchise. The Division is just starting to do that as well. So raids are really cool. And when they had started mentioning that, they showed some crazy like futuristic environments. There was like a volcano in one of the shots. So that has me incredibly hyped. I can't wait to see what a raid would be like in a Ghost Recon style game.
Totally agree.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah, what I liked was that we always get these cinematic trailers when they come out for these big games, but I'm glad they dropped the gameplay trailer at the same time, because cinematic trailers are great, but they're, that's not the game, right? Yeah. They just get you excited, and then you want to see what the game actually looks like. So they dropped 13 minutes of the actual gameplay, which they had like a very minimalistic user interface where it's like it only had like the reticule for the shooting, and then you go into menu to bring up other stuff, but really it was a pretty clean interface.
Yeah. No, game looked really good. Looks very solid. The gameplay looks interesting enough. If you're wanting to be a more tactical player, there seems to be a lot of options available to you, but if you just want to go guns a-blazing, that seems to be available to you as well. So I'm excited. I'm excited for this game. I haven't really been into the Ghost Recon franchise, so hopefully this is what reels me in.
Same, honestly. Like, it's not that I respect it. Like, it's definitely it's earned its place with all the other games similar to it when it comes to like third person or first person shooters, third person shooters. But like I'm actually genuinely interested. I mean, honestly, I will have to just kind of credit it again to John Bernthal. That's really like the I mean, you can tease me with like a cool interface. That sounds awesome, but I'm always narratively driven when it comes to like purchasing games and investing my time and money into them. So
yeah, for sure. I've played some of the Ghost Recon games, but I don't play like every single one of them. And so if there's something like that differentiates itself where it is more story driven, hopefully, it would definitely bring me in. They also have a bunch of, pre-order stuff in terms of the different versions of it. Let me list this stuff off, and then I'm gonna ask you guys a question because I want to see what your guys' take on this is. So they have obviously, if you just pre-order it, you get access to the beta. They give you a vehicle, a heavy outfit, a gun,
weapons,
an actual
looks like.
Yeah, that's for like the standard edition.
They actually send you a gun.
Yeah, a real gun.
Real gun that you can use.
And a real outfit.
Yeah.
And
only pre-orders though.
yeah.
You get a car.
And then so for the Steelbook Edition, it's the same stuff, but they give you the 1 year, I guess, pass to all the DLC stuff. And then with the Ultimate Edition, which they don't even have, Ultimate Edition they do have a price on, is $130.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's basically all that stuff, but a lot bonus mission and a bunch more, I guess, items in terms of like guns, vehicles. And then they have this other one one more. Collector's Edition. This one does not have a price. Has all the cool stuff, but it has one of those giant figurines.
There you go.
That looks pretty cool.
I'm feeling $250 with that one.
Okay, I see. They do have a price. $190. $190.
Under the radar
but
for you.
taxes, though.
Oh, that's how they get
The
you.
taxes, though, and shipping. You're not walking out of a store with that one.
Yeah.
Okay, so
You got to Amazon Prime it, get that free shipping.
this is my question to you guys. So other than the standard edition, all the rest of the pre-orders have a 3-day early access. And so me and Caboose, and we've been talking about this on the podcast a lot, is how do you guys feel about this kind of, because they did it with Anthem, like this almost like you're paying to play the game early thing. Because I'm vehemently against this, because I kind of likened it to, imagine if someone said, okay guys, if you pay an extra $20-$30, you can watch Endgame 2 weeks before anybody else. That's the way I feel about it. What do you guys think about that?
In the movie analogy, I think Warner Brothers has been doing this recently with like 2 weeks early.
Yeah, they actually have 100%. But you don't pay more.
You don't pay more. You do pay though, and there are limited tickets. Never filled theaters, but when it comes to like something specific, like 3 days early, when it comes to something like that, it feels like it is pay to play, and I feel icky about it. It's like loot boxes and everything. Right now, they're in hot water internationally when it comes to like games and releases and everything. This feels like the next side step away. It's like, fine, you don't have to pay to actually win the game, but if you wanted to play early, just get your mom's credit card and just go ahead and just steal. What's the problem? The problem is don't buy groceries this week. Buy that instead. No, it feels. I'm with you. It feels icky.
Yeah.
I'm a little weird. I don't know how I feel about all this pre-order stuff in general. I know when I was younger, man, I got really excited for pre-order bonuses, but now the pre-order bonuses seem, maybe I've just played enough games where they don't really factor into your experience that much. None of it moves the needle. The one that kind of got me, and I missed the boat on it, was I think the pre-order bonus for Mortal Kombat 11 was Shao Kahn.
Yeah.
It's like that's a whole nother character.
Yeah.
You know, like, okay, maybe. You know,
Injustice 2, you could get Darkseid early. That was really cool.
I definitely fell for. I actually got the whole Steelbook, all the unlockable characters. But one they got me.
But can you earn that character after you played it at a certain time, and they're just giving it to you early? You cannot earn it.
No.
Yeah. Okay. So it's basically like DLC, like pre-DLC, I guess. Maybe to play it early. I mean, from a business side, I get it. Like if people are willing to pay the money to play it early. But 3 days, that's not a lot. You could just wait 3 days.
But unless you're a big fan.
I'm also just not a fan of the fact that there's 4 different editions for the game. You know, like when you go from the gold edition to the ultimate edition, you're getting like 3 more things. And it's like you might as well fork over the couple extra bucks to get the 3 additional things, because, you know, like the gold edition for me is obsolete. Like, what is the point of it? You know, just go standard, ultimate, collectors.
Or
it's so weird.
Do right by your fans and throw those 3 extra things into the gold edition.
I would agree.
Little more incentive to, I don't know.
Yeah. The 3-day early, I get it. You know, you understand. It does feel icky. And then when you kind of point at that, like you start thinking about like just DLCs in general, and you're like, man, if you don't have money, you're the loser in this game. And that kind of sucks. Overall, it's not inclusive.
I think it was Mass Effect 3, one of the like DLC, pay a little extra, was a whole character. And it really, the game didn't really work as well without him. And so it was like, this should have just been part of the game. Like I shouldn't have had to pay extra for this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in the case of Mortal Kombat right now, from what most people have been saying, Shao Kahn is like the worst character on the roster.
Oh, nice.
So you get a shit character.
Oh, good. I didn't get a chance to pre-order it, so I'm doing fine. That's good to know.
Yeah. But I mean, that is rough if in the case of something like what you mentioned there with Mass Effect, where if you're missing that character, you're missing some really good stuff there. Yeah. So I don't like that.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like my take on DLC or whatever is if you're buying something as like an extra mission or something that gives you further gameplay, I think that's fine. And even if they want to sell cosmetic stuff, I don't usually purchase. I think I've purchased maybe one or two cosmetic things ever in my whole like gaming life. And that's fine too. But once it's like, okay, this is something that's benefiting you while you play against other people online or something like that, that's where it gets a little dicey. And this pre-order thing, this isn't as egregious as the Anthem stuff. I don't know if did you guys play Anthem or buy Anthem?
I did not buy it, but I did play it on my friend's system when he was sick. I just went over and played it really quick because I wanted to know what was up.
The buzz around Anthem was so mixed even before it launched that I kind of just. And that's not why I buy BioWare games. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I'm a big like Mass Effect, Dragon Age, all that stuff. Although Mass Effect Andromeda I never beat. It was one of the few games I kind of just stopped. So no, I did not play Anthem.
Yeah, but they had that whole weird thing where if you were subscribed to EA Origin Access, I don't know, was it like a gold member caboose or some sort of premium status?
Yeah, on the Origin launcher, you had to pay like that $15 a month or whatever, and you can get the game. I think a couple of days earlier. So
no, I think it was like 2 weeks.
Dumb.
I think it was like 2 weeks. 2 weeks? Yeah, it was significant, like maybe a week.
Oh man,
it was a significant amount of time.
I do remember it was a little significant. It's just stupid in my opinion. You know, if you have to release a spreadsheet to let people know this is when you can get the game based on the different prices that you pay for the game, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah,
you know, everyone should know that the game comes out on this date and that's it. At least in the case of Ghost Recon, it's 3 days early. You know, it's still I don't know how to feel about it, but it's just 3 days. You know, the game will be out in 72 hours for everyone else, but with Anthem, it was weird.
Is it different for something like Anthem or Destiny where, you know, you're kind of all playing it together? Because, like, I would imagine it'd be different for, like, what is it, Cyberpunk 2040? 2077. Like, you're playing that early. Well, you're just getting the experience early. Whereas with a game that, like, you now have a head start on your people you're playing with if you're able to play it early with something like Destiny or whatever. Or Anthem.
That is bad.
Yeah,
that could be bad. I mean, granted, in the case of Anthem is still technically there's no PvP element to it.
Yeah.
But I mean, you know, let's say my buddy is on that subscription service for Origin and I'm not, and he gets super far ahead and he doesn't want to play with me because he's 10 levels ahead of me and he doesn't want to run through the same exact missions again. And I don't want him to be there and just mow through all the enemies. I want to have a challenge. So, yeah, that's why that sort of business practice I'm not in support of.
I'd say it's less icky than like specifically having to buy specific things in games to just even get close to beating other people, other players. They use Star Wars, but like, it doesn't feel great. But it also feels like a natural evolution, like when it comes to games and just trying to make something else exclusive that would get people on board. Pre-orders, getting the game early. I think it's not great, but I'm okay with it compared to other things.
Right.
Don't make kids spend more money, man.
Exactly. The microtransactions, the loot boxes, all that stuff, that's where the consumers really got to put their foot down. That's where we really got to focus on. This stuff is, I'm not a fan of it, but it's not like the end of the world.
Yeah.
In terms of like for the gaming industry, this is if we can complain about a bunch of things, this would probably be very low on that list.
Yeah.
Agreed.
All right. Moving on. Fortnite Season 9 has launched. They had a cinematic trailer. They said the map is changing. They're going to bring a new slipstream wind transportation, new points of interest, some new customization options like the hover platform, an advanced creature manager system, and all new islands to build on. Caboose, have you started playing Fortnite Season 9 yet?
Yeah, I actually jumped in last night and a little bit today. Got to check it out. I haven't played too much of Season 8. Like I played during the beginning of the season, and then, you know, that was probably the worst that Fortnite has been. You know, a lot of the community was not happy with the state of the game. But jumping into season 9, I hit my mic there. Jumping into season 9 feels like a totally different game. There's a lot of new things implemented into the map, and not a lot of new like traversal options. Just like you mentioned, there's like this wind tunnel that you can run through that in some areas carries you around the map almost. And it's pretty cool. There's some cool new areas in the map. The customization is always fun. The different skins. There's like straight up Gundams that you can play as in this season. It's cool. So yeah, it's a cool looking season. They added a bunch of new stuff, and we'll see where this goes. Right now, Fortnite's in a very awkward position where the casual fan base is happy with the game and probably will just always be happy with the game, whereas the competitive side is not enjoying themselves very much. And it's tough for them because in their perspective, they got a big tournament that they're practicing for in a couple of weeks, and the entire map gets overlapped. Like the entire map gets a complete overhaul today or yesterday. And it's like, how can anyone prepare for that? So for them, I can understand. For the competitive players, I can understand that they're a little bit frustrated with the state of Fortnite right now. But overall, new season looks pretty solid so far.
Nice. No, I honestly, the trailer got me invested, and I've been lukewarm on the game. I can't deny that the game's like not fun, and it's interesting, and I can see why it's like the general appeal of it. But every time there's a new trailer, I'm like, cool, you're having fun with it. But it's so dense at this point. It feels like it's a little impenetrable. I know it's straightforward. There's no reason to follow a narrative when you're just playing this game casually. But with this reboot, it automatically makes everything just seem more appealing for me, at the very least. Futuristic, like light up hover platforms, everything like that. I'm like, yeah, I'm on board with this. Like new toys to play with, and it actually feels like they added new things and not like here's a shopping cart now you can go ahead and ride around in that. It's like, no, this is genuinely new. I could see you bring up a good point when it comes like competitively, comes to the competitive nature of like this game. When is the tournament? How many weeks out are we?
I think this time they had a little more prep to actually genuinely prepare. I think that's a couple weeks out. But there have been other instances. The most famous instance is when one day before a major tournament, they added a new item to the game, which was like this sword, and it was so ridiculously overpowered, completely broken, and it was just playable in the tournament, and it was just like, how do you put millions on the line and let your competitors, grind the game out for hours of their day in order to win that kind of money? Or only to be blindsided by a new item being added.
Honestly,
the game,
adding stuff like that last minute, like since I'm outside of it, I love that. I love that. It's like last minute, like wild card round. Like something like that's like a sword like that is OP. Like that might not be fair.
Yeah.
But honestly, I kind of want to watch. I can't wait for 5 years when they make a movie, like Disney makes the movie that is the documentary of that tournament. Super on board with it. But no, this new season, super. Like honestly, like I deleted it off my PlayStation, but I will actually try again. I will give it another chance.
What do you? So how much does Fortnite involved in those tournaments? Are they kind of like outside of the corporate purview, or are they like managing it?
Well, what I like to say, which is what a lot of people who are very like heavily involved in esports like to say, is that Fortnite and Epic Games handle their esport as a marketing tool for their game and not like an actual organized esport. So because of that, they want to just make it fun and, they want to promote it and just introduce the game to more players. They want to get their player base up. Yeah. So with that, they are very heavily involved for sure. Like Epic Games very much supports. They are putting millions into the esports, a lot of money. Some people just make a living off of playing Fortnite, like as an esport.
Good for them.
So yeah, and it's huge in that aspect. But there are some responsibilities that come with that as well. Coming from I'm a big fan of fighting games. I cover Mortal Kombat and everything. So if from my perspective, let's say there's this big tournament coming up, and they add a new DLC character who's just completely broken.
Yeah.
Someone out there who's maybe been a character loyalist and, plays a Sub-Zero or something isn't going to switch to that DLC character because they know they have the most knowledge with Sub-Zero. But if someone wants to win, they're going to play as that broken character because they're broken, and it would be so unfair to introduce something like that in a competitive environment and not have it be banned for 30 days or something. Which,
Interesting.
All right, I gotta ask you, who's your go-to on Mortal Kombat?
Oh, my Noob Saibot. For sure.
Nice. So what did you do? Because he wasn't in 10, right? So what did you do for 10?
I just cried myself to sleep every night.
Because I got a buddy that's a huge Reptile fan, and he's bummed that Reptile's not in 11.
Oh, damn. Yeah, he is missing in Mortal Kombat 11. That is a bummer. But yeah, Noob Saibot's my go-to.
I like Ermac a lot, but also I've gotten really good at Scorpion, and I'm lucky with that because Scorpion will never not be in one of those games.
For sure. Scorpion and Sub-Zero, you can always count on that.
Yeah. Along with that tournament stuff, I guess Epic Games announced today that they're hosting a Fortnite Summer Block Party.
Woo!
Yeah.
2-day event. It's going to be here in Los Angeles at the Forum, June 15th and 16th. I think on the 15th, they're having a first ever creative tournament, and that's going to be like celebrities, YouTubers, or famous streamers battling it out. And then on the 16th is the Celebrity Pro-Am, which I think last year was during E3, right? If I'm not mistaken. So this time they have this. Tickets to attend are $35, and I guess they are, I don't know if they're on sale today. I'm assuming they're on sale today. But
I think so.
Are you guys big Fortnite? Because I personally, I played Fortnite. It's fun. I got much more into Apex Legends. It's just much more my style.
No.
Are you guys casually playing Fortnite, or you guys play it a lot?
I'd say casually.
Yeah.
I'd say, and like when I was introduced to me, I was super on board with it. I think I gave it about 3 weeks of like solid gameplay, and then you just kind of start to slow down. It's something that I just kind of turn on haphazardly, not like super invested. But like I said, Season 9 sounds pretty dope.
Full disclosure, if I have to play with other people online, I don't play it. Yeah, I don't. I just too many 13-year-olds calling me names.
That's like me in Call of Duty. Like when they're like, okay, we're getting rid of the single player, which I actually played and enjoyed, and every time I go online, it's like I respawn and then dead. Yeah, respawn, dead.
It happened with Halo. I really dug Halo, and then it's like, hey, it's going to be playing. It's like, no, I don't need that. I don't need any of that. Whatever. So like for me, it's always like. I'm doing God of War right now. I just spent a huge chunk of my time in Red Dead Redemption 2.
Oh, love that game.
But yeah, and especially if I can't play in a room with a buddy, like if we both because that was my experience in college. Is like me and a buddy we would go online together, so we would both be called names by 13-year-olds, and that made it more bearable.
I will still play Halo online. I love that game, and probably because I'm better at it than I am at Call of Duty, and also just the way that the shield system works. Like you don't get killed that fast. Like with Call of Duty, it's like I literally pop my head up and
Modern Warfare
dead.
was great though.
Yeah.
Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare was real cool. Yeah. So for somebody that doesn't know, the difference between Apex Legends and Fortnite. You said it's more your thing. So what is Apex Legends giving you?
I mean, it's a first person perspective.
Got it.
And then also like I suck at building.
Yeah,
that part of Fortnite is such a big part of it. I suck at it. Like if I get shot, someone else is helping build stuff to protect me. I can't help them at all. There's a giant hill. I'm jumping on their stuff. I'm not quick enough to do it. Where Apex is more about like, okay, here's the map. You got your people with you. And then, you have the different skills to help each other out.
Got it.
Also, I play with Caboose, who's very, very good at Apex. And so he carries me.
Yeah, because you were talking earlier about I don't want to play with my buddy who's cleaning up all the enemies. I'm like, that actually sounds pretty appealing.
Yeah, I'll actually have a good time if they're doing all the work.
Because whenever I play multiplayer shooters, I get to the point where I'm good enough that I get into the higher tiers, and then I hit this platform where I keep getting thrown into groups of people that are significantly better than I am. And it's like, is there not a mid-tier group of people that I can hang out with? Like, because these people are merciless.
Yes. Have you guys played the World War Z game yet?
No.
Okay, so this is a game that, obviously it's tied into the movie, which was tied in from the book. And we had heard about it, and we were like, okay, whatever. And then Caboose and myself and Dorian got it, and we had a blast playing it. Because it's basically a third-person Left 4 Dead.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Where it's just like tons of, like, there's the story's crap.
No.
The voice acting, we were joking, like, because you go from different locations like Jerusalem, Moscow, Tokyo. We were joking that like they probably hired one voice actor and just did all different accents for for every character. But because like there's nothing in terms of story or anything deep. Even the gameplay is not that deep.
Yeah.
But you kill a ton of zombies. It's just like that scene in the movie where the zombies are like stacking up against. Yeah. That's a game where you can play online and feel like you don't have to be that good. I mean, Caboose saves my ass in Apex Legends all the time.
Yeah.
But when we play World War Z, I actually feel like, hey, I'm actually helping him out. Yeah, doing something.
This is equal.
Yeah, exactly. Or at least close enough, you know, where like I feel like I'm doing something. So, and the game's, I think, what, $40, $39.99? Caboose?
Yeah. It's not full price. It's $40, and then I think you mentioned if you're buying it on PC, it's like $35.
Nice.
Yeah. So if you guys get a chance, check it out because it's a fun game to play with other people
online.
Good bang for
your buck.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. All right, next topic we've got. It's game related. We mentioned it before. Detective Pikachu, the movie. We won't do spoilers, but you know, I think I talked a little bit about this last week before I'd seen it. I don't know crap about Pokemon. Like, I went into the movie like I don't know anything. I tweeted this out. I thought Pikachu was Pokemon. Like, when they talked about Pokemon, I thought the yellow guy was Pokemon. That's how much I knew.
It's like when you're watching Cowboy.
I had no idea.
It's like you're watching Cowboy Bebop. Like, which one's Bebop?
Yeah.
Which one's the Cowboy named Bebop?
Yeah. So that's how much I knew about it. I watched it. I thought it was fine, but I didn't connect with it because I just didn't know anything about it. It's not that it's a bad movie.
Yeah.
You guys saw it.
Yeah.
What's your kind of familiarity with this franchise, and how do you enjoy the movie?
Well, we've actually been able to kind of like talk about it and kind of like fully feel out our thoughts. It's so interesting because we finally met someone that didn't play Pokemon growing up, and now we can talk about the movie because I think we both kind of said walking out of it, it's the best video game movie we've watched. But I don't know what that means exactly. Like, you know, because and like it might just be fully nostalgia blinders. Like I don't know if I can. The most I can criticize the movie is when it gets like kind of like convoluted plot points of like a mystery. We're like, what's happening exactly? But the realization of fictional characters like that from a video game that for no reason needed to be live action. Like I never needed that. I know this is all the movie's not based off of, but the artist who worked on this did DeviantArt realizations of like Pokemon, and that's how he got hired for the movie. Like there's like this whole connected tissue. It's really cool. You can read about his interview online, but like I never needed that, but the way that they brought these characters to life, specifically Pikachu, I was like, wow, I'm super on board. Yeah. Also, the tone of humor of Ryan Reynolds in no way is connected to Pokemon in my brain whatsoever, but it sold me. Like I actually liked that there was a clear personality for one of the Pokemon. I liked that there was like a sass to it that I was able to connect to, and also the utilization of Pokemon that was unapologetic. Like there was never a point where anyone was embarrassed by what they were doing on screen. If they made fun of a weird Pokemon like Mr. Mime, it was done in a way that was like everyone was in on the joke, and it built off of it. It was like yes-anding, kind of like an improv. So I was like, I don't know if I can really fault any of the usage of this like IP. If anything, I'll just criticize the plot that was written for this movie because it's I don't know if it made sense at the end of the day, but I still gave the movie a B+. Like I still really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think you're a good example of like, it was nostalgia probably, because I think I've played all the games. I think I played all the main color coordinated entries since I was a kid, and for me, I was like, take me to Rhyme City for real. Like I want to go there. Like for the movie loses me a little bit when they leave the city, because they also leave some of the. Calling it a mystery isn't what it's delayed exposition. But when they trying to solve stuff in the city, when they go and there's a few like hologram exposition scenes and stuff, the movie started to lose me a little bit. But when they're like they go to the underground battle and they're interrogating people and stuff like that, and just being in that world, yes, please and thank you. Like I was way into it.
Caboose? What do you think?
I thought it was good. I'm like you, Dennis. I don't really know too much about. Like I know kind of surface level about Pokemon.
I'm a case of I'm too old, so it came out after. You're a case of you're too young, so it like I went like I was too old for it. You were too young for it. So
yeah, I mean, I thought it was good. The third act is really when the movie loses me. That's when I was like, what? So that, I mean, maybe a Pokemon fan would probably be like, no, that's how it is. But for me, that was where I was really getting confused. But outside of that, I thought it was fine. I thought the designs on the Pokemon were great. Yeah. Just like you guys, I want to live in Rhyme City. I think that was awesome. Everything when he first went to Rhyme City and we got to explore that a little bit, I thought that was so cool. There was someone in my theater who was very clearly a massive Pokemon fan. And anytime you can just see one Pokemon off in the distance, she would be yelling out, pointing out which Pokemon that was. So I'm sure that this movie is kind of made for those people.
Oh, yeah.
The nostalgia is definitely going to help with your experience in enjoying the movie. And Ryan Reynolds is great in it. Like, he is so genuinely funny in the movie. So, yeah, I mean, I had a good time with it. I don't think it's something that I want to go back and watch over and over. But it's definitely, I didn't walk out with a bad taste in my mouth or anything.
The nostalgia will definitely help if you're not a younger audience member, because it is definitely a kid's movie. Like, it's not one of those like one of those kids movies is like, hey, let's treat our audience like they're a little dumb, and how we relay information and stuff like that. But yeah, it's cool. Like when they're going around the city and all. And I liked that. Mentioned this our podcast that's coming out on Monday. MF5 came on. We talked about the movie as well, and that is spoilers. And I liked that it wasn't just like the original Red and Blue 150 that everybody knows. Like they even got into the deep cuts of like, I know you, but I don't even know your name. Like I know, like that's how obscure you are. Like that's cool.
Speaking of MF5, she was next to me. Like it was me and my girlfriend, and then Emma and her friend were next to me at the screening. It was we had a Collider screening of it, and then to the left of me was I forgot his name, but he's friends with Mark Ellis. Him and his girlfriend.
It was Ryan Reynolds. He was
there. They were familiar with the friend. And so through the whole thing, they're like laughing and giggling and cheering. And I'm like, I don't know.
Doesn't mean anything.
I don't know.
Was there one that like stood out to you that you're like, yeah, I'd like to have that one?
I'm trying to think. I mean,
I wonder if you'd remember the names, because they really don't say names of any Pokemon in the movie.
I mean, what is that one called? The Psyduck or whatever? Yeah. That one freaks me out, man. That one freaks me out.
As a kid, that one annoyed the crap out of me, but I did like how they was utilized in the movie. Also, just it's a little cynical, but like Detective Pikachu's point of view of what it is, it's like, don't be near it. Don't be near it. It's awful. It's a bad Pokemon. It shouldn't be your friend. This is a bad thing. I thought I liked the take on it. That, I don't know, elitism, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, I thought Pikachu was really cute.
Yeah.
I know there's like debate because he has like fur or whatever. I say he's a good example of what you do with a video game character, unlike the Sonic one, where he looks like a freaky
furry
man dude or whatever.
It's crazy how accurate they are to the designs in Pokemon, how accurate they are to the designs, and they still like look real enough. Like I don't
Some
know.
of them.
They were smart. They were smart about the way they depicted this stuff. What about you, Caboose? Was there one that you're like, yes, please, give me that one?
I want a Pikachu, but voiced by Ryan Reynolds.
There you go. I just want Ryan Reynolds as a friend.
The one at the beginning of the movie. No spoilers about what the involvement is in the scene, but the one where I don't know the name. Where is the skeleton over its head?
Oh, Cubone.
Cubone.
Yeah.
That
Cubone's
one's
rad.
adorable.
It's so, and it's also it's weird when they start showing sizes of things. I'm like, oh yeah, that's basically like a rat that's running around. That like it's really tiny. And there's a lot of there's some weird Pokemon that show up in this movie,
and they let them be weird, which is cool.
You know what's a really easy one? Are the bird Pokemon, where it's like they're just birds. This bird's got hair. There's really nothing else to it. Like,
honestly, it's just crazy that this movie like exists, because I don't know about you guys, but when I first heard the pitch that there was going to be a Pokemon movie and Ryan Reynolds was going to be the voice of Pikachu, I was like, that's going to be a dumpster fire. So the fact that it like even remotely works, I think is a pretty great achievement. I don't know about you guys.
Do you guys think it is the best video game movie? I mean, granted, low bar.
Mortal Kombat.
Yes, Mortal Kombat for me. I mean, that's like I grew up. I was in high school when that movie came out. And so I remember seeing that. It definitely is campy. But it's fun.
I said Angelina Jolie's Tomb Raider,
the first one.
Yeah, actually both of them.
Both of them.
Just the house music, strobe lights, and time travel, which was weird. Spoilers for a 2001 movie, but yeah, there's time travel in those, and James Bond. He's in that.
Yeah, I will also Daniel Craig. Yeah. I will also defend the Super Mario Brothers movie. I actually like that movie. I don't know if it's
fun.
a good adaptation of the Mario Brothers, but I do like that movie.
Same.
Like I know that Detective Pikachu is probably just overall a better film, but just for me, I'm a huge Mortal Kombat fan, and I'll never forget when my brother first showed me Mortal Kombat as a kid, which was a bad idea. Goro terrified me, but it holds a special place in my heart. It's such a guilty pleasure.
Plus,
movie
it has that awesome techno song.
Yes,
Mortal Kombat.
that is so great.
Yeah. It's
good.
Yeah, that gets me pumped up.
Good workout song.
We need another Mortal Kombat movie. I swear, it's like so easy to do. People fighting. How much easier could it get to structure a movie around that?
Kevin, well, it's basically, I mean, the game itself was based around Bloodsport, so you already have the movie template. It's Lord of the Rings meets Bloodsport, which would work, I swear. But I think Kevin Tantron did that.
Yeah, the web series.
He did the web series based off of his like pitch video that he did. Yeah. And it's like, it would work. I mean, you'd have to have somebody, a deft hand, to navigate some of the, I'm going to say, cheesier elements. And especially like all fighting, for some reason, fighting games have the most complicated backstories of any video game franchise. I don't know why. It should
be so straightforward.
Yeah, but they're always like labyrinths of story. But you could navigate that. I'm excited for when they give us a really. I also enjoy the original Mortal Kombat movie, but like I think we could revisit it and do new things with it. That would be cool.
Yes, definitely. It definitely has to be modernized. You can't release that game or that movie today and have people actually watch it.
You see something like The Raid, and it's like that's basically a video game movie.
Yes.
Like, come on.
That's actually a really cool pitch.
Yeah.
If you did.
I mean, like the Mortal Kombat game, like the MK11, has a pretty cool story. If you're following the lore, it's definitely gonna be a little difficult if you're just jumping in now. But if you're following along with the story that's been told so far with Mortal Kombat, like from MK9 to now, MK11 has a really cool story. And although, in my opinion, if they make a movie, they probably shouldn't take it as seriously. There's some good lore to reach into and take and actually tell a worthy story on film with if they were to try to do it. So
well, and I think that's the other side of that double-edged sword with all the stuff in fighting games is there's a lot to choose from. There's a lot of story elements that you could like, but it's literally just like, hey, somebody from another reality wants our stuff. You got to fight them to keep them from taking our stuff.
Yeah,
there you go.
Pretty straightforward. Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's kind of straightforward.
Yeah,
I mean, even if they wanted to start off small, they could do like a prequel to the whole thing of just kind of the rivalry between Scorpion and Sub-Zero.
100%.
Build from there or something.
Would you want it live action or would you want it animated? Because I was just thought in my head,
there was an animated Mortal Kombat cartoon.
Really?
Yeah, which was for kids.
In my head,
for kids.
That was Spawn had a cartoon. Savage Dragon had a cartoon.
Yeah, remember Spawn had a cartoon.
It was, and it all comes from because the original Ninja Turtle comics was not for kids.
No, I remember. I collected them when I was a kid.
And then the show did amazing. So they're like, what other thing that's not for kids could we make all of the money off of?
Yeah, like that whole like pizza thing from Turtles is not a thing in the comic books. The different colored headbands.
Nope, they were all red. Yeah.
So.
Well, and the comics themselves were black and white, so you wouldn't be able to tell anyway.
But on the cover they were all red.
Did you see now there's like a new Ninja Turtles cartoon like every couple of years, but before they did CG, though the modern cartoon characters interacted with the classic cartoon characters that I grew up with. It was a big crossover thing. And then they even go to the black and white comics.
What the hell?
And the black and white versions of characters scare everybody because they're so intense.
I need to see that.
It's crazy fun.
The newest Batman Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comic is the current Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle comic, Batman. And now the original black and white characters showed up and they're black and white. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow, I really want that show.
Yeah.
Wow, we've gone off a tangent,
Yes.
but I would not mind also a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle show, movie that was more serious. That'd be kind of fun too.
Yeah. I mean, I remember the original one wasn't totally serious, but it was closer to actually the original comic book than I thought.
Scared me as a kid, the original Ninja Turtles movie.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to Rage 2 launch trailer. It's releasing next week, May 14th. Checked it out. I love this trailer.
Yeah, no, same. Wait, the game's coming out next week?
Yeah, May 14th. Yeah.
Wait, yeah, because you gasped at that. I was like, wow, okay, well, and we were talking about this before because Rage is vaguely in my brain as a game. I didn't play the first one, but this trailer, the use of it, the comedy of it, the timing and everything, and I'm like, no, I'm on board. I'm on board at least with a demo or something like that, like kind of trying it out. I'm super sold based on this trailer.
Yeah, for people who haven't seen the trailer, it starts off like at the end of the game. Hopefully that's not the real end of the game and they just made that part up. But they take that and they reverse it back throughout the game and then stopping at certain points and like making little jokes. It's just very meta, very in your face. Like it's really cool. And then like going past like to Rage 1 and then past to like I loved it. I played the first one. I liked it, just because but I didn't love it. It didn't really have a huge story. The gameplay was fine. The world was cool, but it wasn't as developed as hopefully this one is. So it's a Bethesda game, which they need, a little PR win here from after coming off of Fallout 76. So have you guys played? You said you haven't played it. Have you played Rage before?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Caboose, you did play it or didn't play it when you guys went to that Rage event?
Yeah. So we went to a Rage event a lot, like way earlier in the year, me and Dorian, and we did get a chance to play it. It was a very early build of the game, and it was fun. Like it was a ton of fun for me at the time. That was what was kind of scratching the Borderlands itch, but I mean. Now Borderlands 3 has been announced, so it's taken the thunder a little bit away from Rage 2. But, I mean, it still looks like a fun game. The launch trailer looked really enjoyable. I love how self-aware the game is in all its craziness. The funniest thing, although it's sort of getting old now, is there's been a running joke behind the game where it initially got leaked by Walmart Canada. And and they've been owning that ever since. Literally, I think just a couple of days ago, just actually yesterday, they announced the 1-year anniversary of Walmart Canada leaking their game with a controller customized with the picture of the leak on the actual controller.
That's funny.
I think it's funny that they are owning up to it. They're being a little meta with everything. So I think that's cool. And I mean, the game looks like a ton of fun. They're really embracing the batshit craziness of it, and that's a good thing for them not to take themselves seriously.
I got some vibes from like less stylized Sunset Overdrive, like a little like you tone down the cocaine vibes of that game a little bit, like the ADHD, but like you get like that fun futuristic world where you get to kind of have fun weapons and fun looks and everything. And that game, I jumped on the bandwagon way too late for it, but I still had a blast playing Sunset Overdrive, and so I got similar feels to it. Also like a futuristic like Saints Row. Like I was like, that sounds like it ticked a lot of boxes for me of games that I haven't played in probably like 5 years, and so like I do want to invest in this game. So
it feels very Mad Max too.
Yeah, definitely. It reminded me of Time Splitters 2. Did you guys ever play that game? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Now I want another Time Splitters game.
Wait, that made me think when we watched the trailer, and it made me think of a time travel game that blew my mind as a kid. So I'm going to look it up really quick. But no, Rage 2 is definitely...
Well, it was Back to the Future 2, the game.
That's what it was. It was the Universal Park game that you could get, and Woody the Woodpecker led you around. If anyone remembers that, shout out.
Yeah, the first one was more serious. It wasn't as tongue-in-cheek as this trailer leads me to believe the second one is. So I think they're trying to get away from that total serious, because it's from I forgot the guys who made like Doom and Quake and whatnot. So all right, next one we got John Wick the video game, which is action strategy called John Wick Hex. So I know you guys watched, I haven't seen it yet, but you guys watched John Wick 3, right?
We just did our review, which is up on might be awesome right now. Man, it's a blast.
So good. It's weird though, because it basically already is a video game movie. You know what I mean? Like I talked about on that review that it kind of functions under video game logic, because each sequel adds new features. Like John Wick 3 has animals. Yeah, it uses animals in combat. So I'll be interested. Do we know, other than like John Wick's Hex, do we know like anything about it?
I mean, it's a strategy game, so it's more about like the positioning of.
So lame.
Yeah, it's not like, I don't know if you guys ever played Hitman. Had a game like this before where it was like you're moving Hitman around versus like it's not like a real time. At least that's the way I'm guessing. It's not like a real time like game. It's a little. It's like done in a cartoonish graphic art style.
Interesting.
Oops, that sounds like they're missing the point of why people like those movies.
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't want to be a hater.
No, go for it.
I love the game industry and I know all the work that goes into it, but imagine I pitch to you a film where there's an assassin in a world of assassins.
Nice.
And this dude's a sharpshooter. He's a badass. He's played by Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
And the game that we make out of that is a top-down strategy game.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah, it should
Really?
be something like, watching those movies, it should be something like, we talked about Splinter Cell earlier, but it is like where you kind of, not stealth, but it could be stealth, but like where you have to like strategize how you're taking people down. Because I think part of the cool thing about watching a John Wick movie is he's not just mowing through people, but he has to work at it. Like he has to he has to find the right move, especially in this movie, he's fighting some people and he has to find the right move to get them down. And I think that's part of what makes it work is that he doesn't come across, it's not like watching The Rock like run through walls and stuff like that. He doesn't come across as impossible to stop. He's just outmaneuvering everybody he's fighting.
You're fighting Jello, basically.
Yeah.
I just think that this would work as like a third-person action adventure, like a Max Payne,
Yeah.
but with John Wick. I think that would so much more suitable for this franchise to be turned into a game.
Did you guys ever play the Matrix video game before?
No.
It was like Max Payne with like bullet time and
I
like
remember the bullet
So
time
good.
in the trailers at the very least, and I remember like Game Informer was in there.
So I feel like it should be something like that. The weird thing about this is, you're taking a franchise that is known for very fast action and explosion, and then you're slowing it down to be like, all right, you're gonna move here, and then you're gonna wait till that happens, and I don't know.
It's the fun of the pre-res of making an action movie.
Yeah. Exactly.
That doesn't sound cool. But before we did this podcast, I did not know it was a strategy game, so I was like, John Wick video game, I'm so on board. And I'm so bummed of how far I fell of my excitement for this game, because it should be a slam dunk, like making more of these movies. Make 7 more of these movies. How could you not make a video game that is just Hitman, but you put a Keanu Reeves wig on the Hitman, and that's the character.
Definitely.
Now I also want a Barry video game, but in between the assassin missions, you have to do these acting classes.
You gotta do karaoke.
Yeah.
I'm on board with that.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to our last thing, which is Twitter questions.
Hello,
first
Twitter.
one comes from Chris El Gapo. And he says, do you guys consider video games art? Why or why not?
I mean, recently I went down in like the discount indie binge on like Nintendo Switch, just like buying everything. It was like, what's like under $20 to get it? Because I was doing like the PC gaming is not like, it's a little harder for me to do. So I was just kind of going through it. Like, no, of course they're art. Like, there's some games and you get there that are like so beautifully crafted, and like especially when it comes to like soundtracks and like art design. Like, yeah, no, they're beautiful works of art. There's definitely some that are just garbage. But you know,
I think it's about intent. You know, like the intent of what you're trying to create, and even if it's something like. You mentioned Nintendo, so I thought maybe felt like Mario Odyssey, or whatever. Like all the Nintendo brand games, Legend of Zelda. I think those are definitely art. I just like I just said, I spent a significant amount of time in Red Dead Redemption 2. I defy you to tell me that's not. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like, are you kidding? Like, I cried. I cried. There's 2 specific scenes in that game that made me cry. And of course that gets kind of lumped in with storytelling. Which is an art form that can be expressed through video. I guess video games are a medium that can be used for art. So, and I would lump in something like even something without a narrative, like Portal 2. That's art.
Oh my God, those games!
yes.
I can't. I will die for Portal 2. Oh
Yeah.
my God, I love it. It's the best. God of War, the most recent one, is especially like it's
Art on every level, not just narrative, but like visually.
Oh my God, there's no cuts in it. I mean, you have like moments where like someone passes out, so you have like time for the game to like catch up to you. But like overall, like there's no cuts. It's like one free-flowing story that tells you about like the struggles of being a single parent and like also just like trying to figure out how to be a parent just overall. Like it's hard, and especially in this situation of like you got gads running around trying to kill you. Classic. No, it's the God of War is like the high watermark for that, and then you get like games like Portal 2, but also recently I played Donut County. The mechanics of that game they're pointless. It's just an indie game that they made where you move a hole around on the ground and just suck stuff up. But artistically, like the composition of the game is absolutely stunning. And then when you listen to the music, it's like lo-fi hip hop beats to study to, and you just kind of settle in. Oops, sorry, and you just start sucking stuff up with the hole. It's great. Yeah, good time had by all. Yeah, I definitely consider them art. It's as much like I don't know if this discussion is still being had, but I know it was being had when I was in college, which was a long time ago. Like people were saying, are movies art? You know, movies are definitely art. And yeah, there's a different spectrum. There's certain things that are made for commerce purposes. They're made for business purposes. There are a lot of things that are in between where they are for art and for business. And there's some things that are purely artistic. And something like Red Dead Redemption 2. I mean, I watched that thing, or I played that game. At the end of it, I said, we did a spoiler review at me, Caboose, and Mark Fernandez, the owner of Collider, and we talked about it, and I was like, this is up there when you talk about the best westerns of all time. 100%. When you talk about like the movies, like this is there with it. Yeah. So if you consider movies art, then I think you can consider video games art, which, you know, always depending on what the actual game is, right? Like if it's just some crappy whatever game, then okay.
Well, again, it's like the medium, and then like you're saying with Red Dead, like when you go through Arthur's quest for redemption, and he's talking like when there's a character that like, no, you're not bad, and you think like, no, I know the things I've done in this game. I'm bad. Like I'm like if I'm Arthur, this game has put me through Arthur's redemption arc because I've done the things Arthur has done. It's incredible.
Yeah, I mean it's one of the best games ever made.
Yeah.
So, Caboose, what about you? I'm pretty sure you're on the same tip.
Yeah, you guys all nailed it on the head. Video games are art. Simple as that. I mean, for as much respect as I have for the person I'm about to mention, the one thing I never saw eye to eye with was Roger Ebert's standpoint on the fact that video games can never be art, if I remember correctly from what he had said. And that's just the furthest from the truth. You know, all the games that you had mentioned, games like Red Dead Redemption 2, The Last of Us, even the things that the Halo franchise have done for me, that's art. Yeah. Just no argument to be had, plain and simply put. It's art.
Well, and in fact, I kind of think in some ways video games have a shorter gap to bridge. I remember when I was in college, I was working in Barnes & Noble to help make the rent, you know, and I was talking to a coworker that I thought books and video games share a lot in common because they put you in the shoes of the protagonists. She did not think that was a very good perspective, but it's like the books put you in kind of the headspace of the person, whereas in the most literal sense, video games put you in the actions of the person. So it's in some ways it's an easier way to get into your system because you're participating. Just like in a novel, you're in art. I think some of the best art puts you in a position to participate, which is a little more challenging in film because it's more information being beamed at you. Whereas with a video game, you are participating. So it's almost easier to make it meaningful art. Beyond the production challenges that video games present.
Are you guys familiar with the Unravel games? I think Ubisoft puts them out.
I haven't played them, but I know.
Or EA, excuse me. I played Unravel 2. It just popped up like on a store, so I just bought it. And the whole story, I didn't know what the premise was. I just like your cute character that runs around in the forest or whatever, and you play it and you realize that the character symbolizes love, and the twine is what connects people, what relationships you build throughout life, and how fragile they can be, and like, but also at the same time, not just that like, hey, don't mess up and like be mean to the people that you love. Like it means that like, no, you're more interconnected than you think. Like when you feel alone, like you are actually like things aren't as skin deep as you might think when it comes to impacting other people's lives. And I'm like, wow, that stupid game about like little toys running around. Like what happened? Why am I tearing up at the end? I played this game in like maybe 2 hours. Why am I upset? Like how did you get me so good? So yeah, I think we're all unanimous on this one. Yeah,
definitely. At Salmesha Hag 94 says, "What games are?" And I think this is a question for you guys. What games are you guys currently playing, and what was your game of the year last year?
God of War / Spider-Man PS4, because Spider-Man PS4 felt like the perfect Spider-Man movie and the perfect like adaptation, or just like because you fully felt it, like you fully get finally like in a movie, it's like, oh, Peter's smart but he's dumb, like fully like he doesn't pay his rent because he is saving the city, which is great, but also he's slacking off at his job and he's laying down most people in his personal life, like, but also since like DJ said, like you're in his shoes, so you see how those things can slip by so easily, and the way they navigate all the villains and the emotional stakes when it comes to those characters, it's beautiful. And we talked about God of War already, but like I don't know how that game doesn't stop. I don't know how it chugs along the way that it does and introduces you to Norse mythology and tells you a heartfelt story about what it's like to be a parent and to be a son.
I'm currently playing God of War. I got it at the end of last year, but I was hip deep in Red Dead Redemption. And so my game of the year last year has to be Red Dead Redemption, because just even though I finished it this year. I will say a game I played last year that I think came out before that was Horizon Zero Dawn, because I just got the PS4, and that game is amazing.
I have not played it yet.
Highly recommend.
It was one of the launch games for PS4. I vaguely remember it, and it was a friend of DJ, not mine. He kept trying to sell me on getting this game, and I just didn't have a PS4. Now I have it, so I should probably check it out.
Yeah, well, you can borrow mine.
Oh, there you go.
Mine, yeah,
well,
but right now, so I'm catching up on, because it takes me a while just because of time. Like, I was sucked in on Fallout 4 forever. Witcher 3 chewed up months of time to get through. Same thing with Red Dead. So it takes me a little bit. So now I'm going through the backlog. I also played the Uncharted games last year, and those are shocker. Those are great. But game of the year would have to be Red Dead 2 for me, and then currently I'm playing God of War, and it's amazing.
I'm currently playing, because I just said like last year, I'd say Super Smash Bros. I'm working my way through that now, and I'm actually having a super fun. I love the trophy mechanics, like we
should fight.
We should.
I'm looking for somebody to fight on Super Smash Brothers, man.
I have a buddy who always tweets out the code at like 12:30 at night, like, man, what are you doing? Go to you live in LA, what are you doing? I'm not gonna play with you this late at night. We should play.
Yeah.
Shout out to Rob and Lucas, because I kind of look like Lucas.
All right, let's do one more question. We have AJ Scott for real. What existing game engine / mechanics are best suited to be reskinned for an adapted property? For example, I'd like to see a new Star Wars bounty hunter game with Assassin's Creed's gameplay. Thanks and happy gaming. Caboose, what do you think?
Nice.
Oh, wow. That's a heavy hitting question.
Yeah, you gotta dig deep with that one.
You know what? Let's just apply that, but to a John Wick game. No, I don't know. I mean, that's come back to me. Come back to me. That's a tough one.
I think the mechanics, I guess they're dated now because other games have adapted it, but you mentioned Uncharted. The mechanics of hand-to-hand fighting, but also like gunplay in that game always blew my mind that it was so fluid. Yeah. And I love that. Also, I guess there's a fluidity like God of War, like we've mentioned a couple times now. Taking that aspect, and I guess you could say John Wick, that'd be a good example of like how we want the game to work that way. Oh my God, it just flew out of my brain. Oh no.
Of what game you wanted to reskin?
What I wanted to reskin it for.
So you're reskinning Uncharted.
The mechanics of that.
Uncharted 2B.
In the adaptation of
Indiana
my
Jones.
favorite.
No.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Wait, now come back to me now. I picked the game I want to be reskinned, or the mechanics. Now I need to find the suit for it to wear. It's like Hannibal Lecter stuff.
I've got an answer if you want to take a second. So very recently, Mortal Kombat 11 came out, and they have the crypt. And in the crypt, you can like navigate and go around open chests and find secrets, and it's like this third-person mode. So give me any game that's viable in that whatever, the mechanics of God of War or Assassin's Creed, and put me in the Mortal Kombat universe. I want a Shaolin Monks 2 or the canceled MK Fire and Ice game with Sub-Zero and Scorpion teaming up. I would love the hell out of that. That would be awesome, because especially in Mortal Kombat 11, where they really expanded on the lore of the game, to be able to explore that in a different way, where you're not tied down to the idea that you have to end up fighting someone, I think would be really awesome.
That'd be really cool. I'd be into that as well.
Okay, I figured it out. Throw away everything I said before.
Okay.
Literally
All
all of it. Take the fighting mechanics. You mentioned Mortal Kombat, but with that, what I played from NetherRealm is Injustice 2. So take that and also the graphics from that, and then make those fighting mechanics and adapt them for a Pokemon game. I know we have half of the panel today who hasn't, played with them, but it's always, turn-based. It's like you get to go through your bag. You have so much time to plan what you want to do. You got to go fast. You got to memorize.
Fighting game?
Yeah, fighting game.
I think Pokken Tournament is a fighting game with Pokemon.
Yeah,
but I like the idea of it being, is it platformer where it's like side scrolling kind of thing, which I think that aspect could add like a lot to it, where it's like 2D exactly. Yeah. But also 3D, like we've seen in Detective Pikachu, like we mentioned already. We know what they look like when they're in 3 dimensions, and if you wanted to make them live action, you could, because the realistic faces of Superman blew my mind when I was playing Injustice 2. So there's a lot of wiggle room there. I think updated fighting mechanics in real time that's not just turn-based for a Pokemon game. I guess you have Pokemon Tournament, that's an example of it, but I think the mechanics of a NetherRealm game could be very interesting for a Pokemon game.
Yeah. I would do... I mean, he mentioned Assassin's Creed Odyssey or Red Dead Redemption 2, reskin that for Game of Thrones. Like a full-on like Game of Thrones story, a 60-hour, and you can hop on a horse and you can go to the Wall, you can go to King's Landing, you can go to, and you can do all that stuff, meet new characters and build up your character and have like a significant storyline that pulls you in. I think that would. That could be awesome.
And the cool thing too is that Red Dead and Game of Thrones share, or at least the earlier seasons of Game of Thrones share that, like, putting you in the minutia, so that you kind of know, like, hey, things were slower during this time. Yeah, things were slower back then. When you go to brush your horse, it's going to take you a minute. Man, it's interesting because there's so many like cool options. But one I was kind of thinking of today, and this isn't exactly right, but I was thinking some of the mechanics in God of War would actually work pretty well with a Superman game, where you're already pretty powerful, but you're able to, like, I think in God of War, so you hit the 2 shoulder buttons, and suddenly you're like crazy powerful. So you're Superman, you're strong. But then if you really want to see Superman tear up, like classic Superman, you hit those buttons, and then you only get a limited amount of time, and otherwise it's just normal. You're just normal video game powerful.
I was thinking mechanics of Grand Theft Auto 5, like using 3 people that you can kind of cycle through to pull off a heist, but with an Avengers game. And like you get to cycle through them as you can do, like you can pull off heists if you want to, you can pull off big battles. Also, come on, make an Avengers game. Why is it so hard? There's always like there's that one channel out there that does like the history of games that were canceled that were almost made. I'm like, come on, please.
They're coming out with a new Ultimate Alliance.
There is an Avengers game in the works right now at Crystal Dynamics and Square Enix and everything. We haven't heard anything about it. It was announced in January of 2017, and I remember that so vividly because I was so incredibly excited that an Avengers game was being made by a AAA developer, and it was like, oh my god, this is going to be incredible. But then I realized that Square Enix was also behind it, and they love to take their time with games.
Yeah.
So here's hoping we hear some more about it, because, oh man, I totally agree with you. That would be awesome. An Avengers game where you could switch between multiple characters. Hell yes.
And you can always change your roster out, because of course that's what you love in like the Marvel, like Ultimate Alliance and everything like that. Also, I was thinking, like, because you said Square Enix, I'm like, it's going to be a goddamn Kingdom Hearts game. I swear to God, it's gonna be, and it's gonna be like, this is 2.389 remix remastered Dream Drop Marvel Distance, and we're gonna go ahead and you can be Iron Man, but he's with Sora, and at the end you get a Keyblade, and it's all about your hearts, man. And you're like, but his heart's in the arc reactor. Oh, I can write this dumb fan fiction right now. I love those games, by the way.
A lot of people were talking about Iron Man for Anthem. Like taking the Anthem engine. It's practically flying around.
Anthem's pretty much an Iron Man game.
Isn't there talk of like with Spider-Man for PS4, like expanding out that universe of stuff?
Mean, you hope so.
I honestly hope for that it'd be cool to do what they do with like fighting games where some of the skin changes your character. I would love to play Daredevil in the Spider-Man games. I would love it.
Same thing. You got billy clubs, you just can't swing as high.
Yeah.
And maybe
I had mentioned a couple times because they have sort of teased like an MGU, if you will, like a Marvel Games universe.
That's really cool.
I think I think it would be fantastic to do something like that. And like not every game needs to be open world. Like Captain America as a game probably won't work as open world. There's really only so many traversal options with the characters. So just make it this linear game. Make it like an Assassin's or not Assassin's Creed. That's a bad example. Like a God of War where you're kind of this overpowered character, but it's this flowing story where you go through mission by mission in different areas that you have to explore, maybe set it in the 1940s so it doesn't have to be tied to anything just yet. And then at the end of the game, you can tease very similar to the movies where he wakes up present day and now he's a part of this bigger, grander universe where Spider-Man is there. Because in the Spider-Man game, there's plenty of references to other characters in the Marvel Universe. Avengers Towers is there.
Yeah.
The Wakandan Embassy is there. They make reference to Black Panther. So all they have to do now is just find the right developers and get that ball rolling. And I hope they do it as quick as possible.
I think a good way of also fixing maybe your Iron Fist character is making a really good hand-to-hand combat game with Iron Fist that could be really like going through like the Seven Heavens and stuff like that.
Too bad Finn John signed a contract. He has to voice the video game.
No, please no.
Well, you mentioned going back to 1940. Could you do a Cap game in the vein of Call of Duty, like the old school World War II first-person shooter? Sure. You just have that really cool shield.
Throw the shield.
Oh, that would actually be pretty cool.
Yeah. Make it a more narrative experience.
Yeah. Oh, we have Bucky there who's using he's like your sniper. Yeah. He's your covert guy that goes in and does all the dirty work. Ooh, I'm actually not opposed.
All right, we're printing gold here.
Yeah,
we're like people. If any game developers are listening, it's like they're getting free money.
Right?
Give us a call. Also, give us another Portal game. Damn it,
please.
Well, we talked about we do a lot of VR stuff here because we're actually making several VR games.
Wow.
Yeah. And so they announced one of the VR systems is Valve's Index VR headset. Mm-hmm. And Valve said that they are going to make a flagship game for that headset. And some people were speculating Half-Life 3. I think it's going to be a Portal game.
Isn't that the best, though? Like, wouldn't that be so cool? That's what everybody wants.
It mixes with VR so perfectly.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, if you did the double Portal thing where you're falling through and momentum starts building, you might vomit just immediately. You might have a seizure. Yeah. But, it might be worth it, though, honestly.
So,
there could be so many cool things there. It's just Valve is Valve. They make so much money off of Steam that they're just kind of like, why are we going to make a game?
Because if you were nice,
I
want it.
Agree. Yeah. I want a Portal 3. I want a Left 4 Dead 3. I want a Half-Life 3. They just could not complete a single trilogy. So maybe if we yell loud enough, although we all really have already, they'll inevitably listen.
How long was the hiatus between Half-Life 1 and 2?
That's a good question.
30 to 40 years, I think.
It was a good amount of time.
So we still might get Half-Life 3, maybe.
maybe.
Yeah. So
don't hold your breath.
Well, remember Half-Life 2 was part 1 and part 2.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I remember because the first part was significantly long, and I finished it, and I was like, okay, now I have to start part 2 now. Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks for everyone who's listening, joining us. I want to thank Caboose for joining us. Caboose, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at CabooseEK and right here on Collider Games.
And I'd like to thank Sam and DJ for joining us. Sam, where can people find you?
At Sam Basher, everywhere that matters, but also at youtube.com/mightbeawesome.
Same DJ? At DJ Talks Trash, and check out Might Be Awesome. We're doing a lot of fun stuff over there. If you want to check out our John Wick review, we got it up right now.
And you guys can find me on Twitter at ThinkHero, Instagram Dennis.tzng. Make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel, youtube.com/ColliderGames. Also subscribe to the Collider Factory feed for this podcast every week. Until next time, and we'll see you guys then.